Who Is Molly Leigh is a community opera about a local legend, Molly Leigh. Molly Leigh is someone many people in Stoke will know as a witch, but what this project is trying to really interrogate, but who is she? You know, beyond just a witch, beyond just a legend.
When I came across the story of Molly Leigh, what struck me was that everything written was from somebody else's point of view. And I thought, well, I wonder how Molly would have spoken about herself. Also made me think the way that she was othered from society because she looked different and because she didn't conform to this standard role of a woman. All of this meant that she was scapegoated and accused of being a witch. And I thought, well, this isn't unique to Molly Leigh, but it's actually representative of lots of women at the times. Also not just women, but anybody who was seen as different. So I thought, well, it could be great to develop a project where an audience become detectives and they are trying to work out their own ideas of Molly Leigh. So they'll hear all of these viewpoints and perspectives from different people, and then at the end they get to hear Molly's voice. But what Molly says isn't just her story, but is representative of all these other people at the time who were also othered.
Molly Leigh was the target of witch hunt, and that sometimes can feel like something that was historical, that doesn't happen anymore. It's something that was located to 1500 to 1700. But at the same time, there are still our own versions and variations of witch hunts. There's the ways people are slandered, targeted, scapegoated, hounded, and that happens, sadly and unfortunately, even to today. We're trying to sort of get people to consider and think about witch hunts, to think about the people who get lost within these kind of witch hunts and these circles and problems as they spiral, and how that still is reflected in today's society.
I'm a woman. I'm a local, but not known.
So we are describing Who Is Molly Leigh as a community opera. We are thinking of this as it's telling a story through music. And the community are involved in so many different aspects of putting this piece together, right from building the content and the words, to performing, to helping us design and develop the set.
So this weekend is a sort of research and development weekend where we're testing out ideas for the project. We've got some material that Fran and I have written together already, which we're going to rehearse and try out, but there's also a lot of space where we're working with local participants to generate new material, to build the set, to try out ideas, with the end result of the weekend being on Sunday, we're having a first test performance.
Molly Leigh, who is she?
So at the moment at B-Arts, downstairs in our workshops, we've got people working on different elements of the project. So in our acting workshops, we've got a team of people together. Some people have not done any acting before, some are in our volunteer performer group, but we've brought this brand new group of people together and we're devising the pub scene, as we've been calling it. So this is all about rumours, things that you hear in the pub, what gossip happens.
Scrubbing it up, turns out.
Currently, there are sort of two core scenes we're working with. A scene with a reverend spreading slander and hatred, and a scene with a pub where people just spread the gossip that they know and they think they hear. But there's so many other potential scenes that giving the audience choice to engage with will also deepen and further their understanding of Molly's life and what it's like to be a person at the centre of these kind of witch hunts.
There is a witch in our midst. And her name is Molly Leigh.
I think on the face of it, it maybe seems like it's just a story about somebody that might have been a witch, but I think when we start to dig into it, there's lots of themes that come through around discrimination, around othering, around isolating individuals that are different in some sort of way.
I think the key themes are about how people might feel othered or judged in society, and maybe how people are discriminated as well.
There's a lot of people with a lot of knowledge and history around Molly Leigh and Stoke-on-Trent, and it's been really fascinating to learn, what people in that age or that century would have been doing, their thought processes, how religion kind of fits into it as well, and just sort of how Molly Leigh became this character because of the hate or because of the things that people didn't like.
I think when you're part of a performance like this, especially when it has a complex plot, you never quite know how the audience is going to react. You don't know if they're going to understand the story that you're trying to tell and the perspectives that you're trying to show. So I think I'm looking forward to seeing how the audience react. It will be just interesting to try and bring out some of those feelings from the audience.
I follow the blackbird.
The funding's allowed us to really, first of all, focus on the piece. It's given us the time and space to sit down together, to work through ideas, to draft ideas, to share ideas back and forth. And it's given us the time to create a space where the community can contribute. You're asking a lot of volunteers and community contributors, so having the funding to set up the space, to have food offered, to have space offered, is a really important part of how we create a project like this, of how a community opera like this comes together.
With more funding, it means that we can grow from this kind of capsule performance test weekend and actually develop it into a full piece, which is going to impact more people here in Stoke-on-Trent, but also wider through other audiences coming in. And this is just going to improve what we can offer for the community.